Mm. All right, we are live. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Shahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Shindu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Panebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Panglutam Hate Girim Yat Kripa Tamahang Bande Sri Gurundina Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Bande Nandabhutaishwaram Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nichopiyat Prasad Shat Bhakti Shastra Pravat Hare Krishna. So today is being Ekadasi. Ekadasi is the most dear amongst the days. Ekadasi is the most dear to Krishna, and amongst the months, Damodar month is most dear to Krishna. So today is very, very auspicious. Welcome to all of you, to all of us, to our Bhakti Sastri, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So today we will start chapter 8 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So in the previous chapter, in the previous session, in the chapter 7, we have discussed toward the end how Krishna explained the entanglement of the living entities. And then Krishna explains to Arjuna that how knowledge of Krishna can liberate us from the material entanglement. Yeah, knowledge of Krishna can liberate us from the material entanglement. So the chapter 7 entitled the Vijnana Yoga. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada translate that as the what's that, knowledge of the absolute. So Vijnana Yoga, and this chapter is attaining the supreme. Yeah, in Sanskrit, this chapter is called Taraka Brahma Yoga. So basically, Taraka Brahma Yoga means yoga of liberating the spirit. Yeah, attaining the supreme, attaining Lord Krishna's shelter. So we will see in this chapter. I just share the screen here. Yeah. So today we will discuss till text number 13. Yeah. So there are three parts of our discussion today. So the first one is that Krishna answers Arjuna's question. So in text number 1 and 2 of this chapter, Arjuna starts by asking Krishna some questions. And then text number 5 to 9, Krishna explains that one must always think of him along with performing active devotional service. Such practice help one remember Krishna at the time of death and attain his nature. Yeah, anta kale chamam eva. That verse we will find. And yeah, specifically in text number 9, Krishna explains some ways to meditate on him. And then the third part of our discussion is that about Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Yoga Mishra Bhakti refer to some yoga who can, some yogi who attain Krishna by reciting the word Om and remember Krishna at the time of death. So we will start with text number 1. This is Arjuna's question. Arjuna inquire, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? So Krishna, Arjuna is asking, what is Brahman? What is the self? Yeah, Adhyatma. So this Adhyatma, what is Brahman? What is Adhyatma? What is karma? What are productive activities? What is this material manifestation? Adibhuta. Arjuna is asking about Adibhuta. And what are the demigods? Adidaivata. Please explain to me. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottama. So Arjuna addressed Krishna here using the word Purushottama, means the Supreme Person. Yeah, Purusha Uttama. Krishna is the Supreme Person. Which means that he was putting this question not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the Supreme Authority, able to give definite answers. We may ask a question, this kind of question, why it is asked by Arjuna? It seems silly, okay? For Arjuna, it may seem silly. Yeah. What is the self? What is the Atma? So in his purport, Srila Prabhupada, to text number 1, explained that the word Atma can have different meanings. Yeah, Atma can mean the senses, can mean the mind, the body, and the soul. Okay, so Arjuna is asking in general, what is Atma? What is the self? What is Brahman? So we are also Brahman. Krishna is also Brahman. What is this material creation? What is this material nature? What is the Adidaivata? Adidaivata is the demigod, yeah, the demigod, which actually included in the universal form of the Lord, Adidaivata. And then what else Arjuna asks? Adibhautika, yeah, Adibhautika. Adibhautika means this nature, this material creation. Okay. Interesting here, Arjuna is asking, what are the demigods? In fact, Arjuna is the son of demigod. Arjuna is the son of Lord Indra. Yeah, he is asking actually for our benefit. Just like sometimes we find in our life that we used to commit the same mistake again and again, right? So just to remind us, actually the topic of karma yoga is already described in the 3rd chapter. Yeah, why would Arjuna ask this again? So the answer is for our benefit. It's not for his benefit. Regarding demigods also, before this battle, he went to heavenly planet, yeah, to get some weapons. So this is from Srila Prabhupada's lecture. Everything, Krishna. Arjuna wanted to know from Krishna. Krishna has accepted Krishna. He has accepted Krishna as the spiritual master. And spiritual master means the authority. Unless you accept somebody as quite fit for becoming your authority, he cannot become a spiritual master. You must be satisfied by the authoritative statement of the spiritual master. You cannot argue. That is the principle of authority. Yeah. So Arjuna is putting this question to his spiritual master. So similarly, whenever we Pariprashna means we inquire from the spiritual master. That means that person we trust. Yeah, we trust that person that he can enliven me. So this morning, I was listening Srila Prabhupada's memory series, yeah, from different disciples of Srila Prabhupada. and one disciple of Srila Prabhupada named Brajendra Nandana Prabhu. He remembered that when first time he met Srila Prabhupada, he immediately felt the conviction that yes, this person is so glowing, so bright, so glowing when Srila Prabhupada deliver classes. So his word is pure, and he convinced within his heart that yes, this person will not cheat me. And he immediately, surrendering to Srila Prabhupada, surrendered his life to Srila Prabhupada, becoming full-time brahmachari. He convinced that yes, this person, he will not cheat me. So that was his first impression. So it's actually quite unique that if we listen to different memories shared by Srila Prabhupada's disciple, especially how they met Srila Prabhupada for the first time and what kind of impression they get. Now, some disciples of Srila Prabhupada saw Srila Prabhupada as a loving father. Some saw him as the direct representative of God. Some saw him just like a very meek and humble person. Some saw Srila Prabhupada as the most charming personalities ever that they met. Some saw that behind Srila Prabhupada's head there's a big light, something like that. So it's always nice to hear from Srila Prabhupada's disciple, especially how did they feel when they met Srila Prabhupada for the first time. And that actually Srila Prabhupada captured their heart because of Srila Prabhupada's purity. So they convinced, and therefore they surrendered. So similarly, Arjuna, Sishyasteham Sadimam Tuam Prapanam. Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. And here in this chapter 8, Arjuna addressing Krishna as the Purushottama. Purusha Uttama. He is the topmost person, supreme person. So supreme person means God. And Arjuna convinced that yes, Krishna. Now Arjuna's relationship with Krishna is changed. From friendship into between spiritual master and disciples. So now Arjuna becomes submissive. And that's actually the art of approaching a spiritual master. Because when we ask something from our equal, from our friends, sometimes we don't really appreciate their answer. Because we see him as our equal. But when we really sincerely asking from a person that we accept as our authority, we take his word seriously, very, very seriously. So that's Arjuna's position here. Okay, spiritual master means authority, Srila Prabhupada says. And further question by Arjuna, who is the Lord of sacrifice? Who is the Adi Jagya? Arjuna is asking here, who is Adi Jagya, and how does he live in the body? O Madhusudana, how does he live? Of course, he's referring to how Paramatma resides in everybody's heart. And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? This is the final question and most significant here. Because Ante Narayana Smriti, that's actually the goal of why we are performing this, performing that, austerity, sacrifice, religious activities. Ultimately is Ante Narayana Smriti, to remember Lord Narayan at the time of death. Etavan Sankhya Yogavyam Swadharma Parinistayam Janma Lava Parapumsa Ante Narayana Smriti. Very beautifully described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Etavan Sankhya Yogavyam. Whether someone is practicing Sankhya or yoga, Swadharma, performing his Swadharma in terms of Varna and Ashrama, Swadharma Parinitaya, Janma Labha Parapumsa. So the Janma Labha, the benefit of getting this human form of life, is Ante Narayana Smriti. We should be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. Yeah. If we don't, then we are actually wasting this opportunity. Para Pumsa. Pumsa means human being. Para means the highest benefit. Yeah. All right. Srila Prabhupada's purport here. Lord of sacrifice may refer to either Indra or Arjuna. Interesting. Because Indra being the king of heaven, so he's also worshipped and nourished through sacrifice, yeah, through the karma kanda activities. But who is the real benefactor of sacrifice? And of course, that is Vishnu. As Srila Prabhupada explained, Vishnu is the chief of the primal demigods, including Brahma and Shiva. And Indra is the chief of the administrative demigods. Both Indra and Vishnu are worshipped by yagya performances. But here Arjuna asks, who is actually the Lord of yagya, sacrifice, and how the Lord is residing within the body of the living entity. Now the word Prayana Kali in this verse is very significant because whatever we do in life will be tested at the time of death. So Prayana Kali, Kali means time, Prayana means leaving the body. Yeah? So whatever we do, the test is at the time of death. Arjuna is very anxious Arjuna is very anxious to know of those who are constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness. What should be their position at that final moment? At the time of death, all the body functions are disrupted and the mind is not in a proper condition. You see, just like we are studying in the school. Yeah, we are studying in the school, in a college or a university. So the final test, which determine that we graduate or not, is the final test. Yeah, the final test. Probably we have to write some kind of dissertation if you are a student in university, some dissertation, or in this case, Bhakti Sastri. Every end of unit, after finishing one unit, we have assessment, both closed book and open book. Yeah, essay, you have to write essay. So that's your test. You have to pass that. So similarly, at this life also, we have this test. Yeah, Prayana Kali. At the time of death, that is the real test. Whether we're able to remember Krishna or not. So the pass mark for this life to enter Vaikuntha Loka is that Anta Kale Cha Mam Eva, as Krishna will be explaining very shortly. Yeah, Anta Kale Cha Mam Eva. At the time of death, one should be able to remember Krishna. Yeah, because as Srila Prabhupada explained here very beautifully, that what should be their position at final moment. At the time of death, all the bodily function are disrupted and the mind is not in proper condition. Yeah, especially when we are old, the senses becomes weak, and there are so many diseases and mind becomes disrupted, unable to remember Krishna. And especially when we are too attached to our so-called possession, wealth, family members, that actually a big hindrance for us to be able to remember Krishna at the time of death. Yeah. Therefore, Kulakseka Maharaj pray, Krishna Tvadiya Padapankaja Panjarantam Adhyayva Me Ishatumana Sarajaham Prana Prayana Prana Prayana Samaye Kapha Vata Pitaihi Kanta Varudana without Smaranam Putasti. He prayed that let me just die now, since I'm able to remember you, O my Lord. Because when I'm getting old, Kapha Vata Pita. So when these three dosas in the body not in balance, so Kapha Vata Pita, so the body becomes sick. The body becomes sick, and the throat full of mucus, one is unable to chant even Krishna's name. Yeah. And especially for the materialistic people, when they are too attached with the family members or wealth or any possession that they have, that's actually giving more pain to the body, because the soul doesn't really want to leave the body. But a self-realized person, yes, he completely realized, he completely understand that yes, I have to leave. This body is actually meant to die. Yeah, meant to die. So just like His Grace Rajendra Nandan Prabhu recently, he just passed away. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada's disciple. So he got cancer actually already in the stadium 4, yeah, in the level 4 cancer. And then he wrote to us here in Mayapur. He says that uh, now I'm preparing to leave my body, because he knew, he has the feeling that soon he will leave his body. He asked the devotees here, don't pray for my recovery. It's useless. Just pray for me that I will be able to remember Krishna at this critical moment. So he feel like relaxed, and he leaves his body with a smiling face. Yeah. He leaves his body with a smiling face. Yeah, remembering Krishna. So no more attachment, because he knew completely, yes, this body is meant to be destructive. Yeah. Many times actually in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we find some statement, this body is meant to die and will be eaten by jackals and vultures and so on. So what is the use? But still, as Srila Prabhupada explained, make the best use of the bad bargain. This body is the bad bargain. Bad bargain in what sense? It's full of miseries, full of diseases, limited senses, forgetfulness, in illusion, committing mistakes. Yeah, but still we try to use this body to serve Krishna as much as we can. So that's the final test, is at the time of death. And generally, whatever we remember at the time of death, what we remember at the time of death is actually whatever we perform the most in this lifetime. Whatever we perform the most in this lifetime. It's just like film, recording. And whatever we perform the most, so that activities will be accumulated at the time of death. Sometimes we may think that, oh yeah, I'm still young, I'm still young. Let me just relax, and later when I'm 60, 70, then I'll take up Krishna consciousness very nicely, very seriously. Well, there's no guarantee that we're gonna live till 60, 70, or 80, whatever it is. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada, whenever he give class and speak about Pariksit Maharaj, Prabhupada used to say that Pariksit Maharaj, he is lucky. He knows that he has 7 days that he's gonna leave his body. But but our situation, we don't know. We don't even have 7 minutes to live, probably. At least Pariksit Maharaj knows after 7 days he will die. But death can come at any time. Therefore, the Vishnu Purana explains, Sahanistan Mahachidra Samohasya Chavi Brahma Yad Muhurtam Shanam Vapi Vasudeva Nachintaya. So Vasudeva Nachintaya. If we don't remember Vasudeva, Samohasya, that's actually the biggest illusion. Sahanistan Mahachidra, that's actually the greatest defect. Samohasya, Chavi Brahma, that's a delusion, loss of memory. Yan Muhurtam. Muhurtam means some moment. So if we forget Vasudeva, that's actually the biggest mistake, because at any time death can come. Yeah, death can come at any time. There is no guarantee we're gonna live till as what we expected. 80, 90 years. We don't know. Maybe after a few seconds we may die. Therefore, always remember Krishna. Yeah. Smartavya satatam Vishnu Vismartavyo na jati. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Okay. So this is Krishna's response to Arjuna's question in text number 1 and 2. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the instructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman. So Aham Brahmasmi. Yeah, we are Brahman. And his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self, Adhyatma. Action pertaining to the development of material bodies of the living entities is called karma. Yeah. So fruitive activities. So Lord Krishna answered 3 questions already. Yeah. First, what is Brahman? What is the self, the Adhyatma, and karma? Prabhupada explained. Brahman is this indestructible and eternally existing, and its constitution is not changed at any time. But beyond Brahman, there is Para-Brahman. Yeah. So we are Brahman, we are all Brahman, but Krishna is the supreme Brahman, yeah, Para-Brahman. The constitutional position of the living entity is different from the position he takes in the material world. In material consciousness, his nature is to try to be the Lord of matter. But in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, his position is to serve the Supreme. Yeah, Swarupa Jivera Krishna Nyatadas. So we are eternally the servant of the Lord. Spiritually speaking, we are always Krishna's servant. But as soon as we get this body, immediately the what do you call this? The what is that term in Sanskrit? The upadi. Yeah, the upadi. The upadi means designation. According to what type of body we get, so we get certain types of designation. We designate ourselves as human being. I'm a human, I'm a dog, I'm a cat. And then in human being, in the human form of life also, we designate ourselves in different ways. I'm Indonesian, I'm Indian, I'm Spanish, I'm American. Yeah, even Indian also. There's so many designations. I'm Bengali, I'm Maharashtrian, I'm South Indian, yeah, Andhra, this and that. In South India also there are many designations. Yeah, Tamil Nadu, this and that, Andhra Pradesh, Malayalam, and so on. Yeah. So this is called upadi. The upadi. As soon as we get the material body, so falsely we change our own constitutional position. But when we come to our real sense, we completely understand that yes, whatever I am, whether I'm in Indonesian body, American body, Indian body, I'm the eternal servant of the Lord. I'm the eternal servant of Krishna. That's it. When the living entity is in material consciousness, he has to take on various bodies in the material world. That is called karma, or varied creation by the force of material consciousness. So these activities, yeah, by which we earn bad or good, yeah, bad or good is earned through our activities. That is called karma. Text number 4, obeys of the embodied beings, the physical nature, which is constantly changing, is called adibhuta. So Arjuna was asking, what is adibhuta? material manifestation, this universe. So material nature, yeah, physical nature, that is the Adibhuta. And then the universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and moon, is called Adidaiva. Yeah. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adijagya, the Lord of sacrifice. Yeah. Krishna is the Adijagya, he's the Paramatma, he's the Adijagya, he's the Lord of all sacrifices, the benefactor of all sacrifice. So any sacrifice actually meant for Krishna. Yeah, the Adi Jagya, because he's the Adi Jagya. Adi means actually the prime evil. Srila Prabhupada's purport, material bodies generally pass through 6 stages. They're born, they grow, they remain for some duration, they produce some byproducts, they dwindle, and then they vanish. This physical nature is called adibhuta. So whatever constantly change is actually part of the adibhuta. Yeah, this material world is always changing. Material body changing all the time. The conception of the universal form of the Supreme Lord, which includes all the demigods and their different planets, is called Adi Daivata. Yeah, Adi Daivata. Daivata means the demigod. Adi means the Lord of the demigods. That means the universal form, the Virat Rupa. Yeah, the Virat Purusha is actually including everything. Yeah, the demigods also, planetary systems. The super soul is called Paramatma or Adijagya and is situated in the heart. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridaya Arjuna. So thus Lord Krishna answered all Arjuna's 6 questions. Yeah. And then starting from text number 5, now Krishna will be explaining about how to remember Krishna. And therefore we can attain Krishna at the time of death. Yeah. Anta kale chamam eva smaran muktva kale varam. Yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samsaka. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attain my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Na asti samsaya. Samsaya means doubt, na means not. Yeah. So if we remember Krishna at the time of death, so there's no doubt that we will attain Krishna's abode. Yeah. Remembrance of Krishna is not possible for the impure soul who has not practiced Krishna consciousness in devotional service. Therefore, one should practice Krishna consciousness from the very beginning of life. If one wants to achieve success at the end of his life, the process of remembering Krishna is essential. Therefore, one should constantly, incessantly chant the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is Srila Prabhupada's purport. Yeah, this is the key. How we can remember Krishna always is through chanting His holy name. Yeah, by the chanting process. Yeah, Sravanam and Kirtanam. These 2 processes, Sravanam and Kirtanam. Yeah, and then if we constantly perform Sravanam and Kirtanam, automatically the Smarana will take place. And Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his purport that as early as possible, yeah, in this life, as early as possible, we should start practicing devotional service. Prahlad Maharaj said, Kumarama charet pragyo dharmam bhagavatam viha dulabam manusam janma tad api adruvam arthadam. So Prahlad Maharaj said, interestingly, Durlabam manusam janma, to take birth in the human form of life is durlabhan, very rare opportunity. Yeah. Although it is tad api adruva means uncertain. This material body is full of uncertainty. Yeah, we cannot really predict this material body. Today we are healthy. Tomorrow we may get sick. We not remain healthy tomorrow. We may get sick. Yeah. So it's uncertain. We may plan for, okay, I will live brahmachari till the end of my life. But out of the sudden we get married. Mind change. Yeah. It's full of uncertainty. Yeah. Dhruva means certain, but adhruva means there is no guarantee. Yeah. We may expect that we will live till 100 years, but there is no guarantee. So this material body is uncertain. But still, uh, although it is uncertain, it is very rare, and that's actually the only opportunity by which we can attain success in this life. Yeah. Therefore, Kumaram Acharet Pragyo Dharmam Bhagavatam. We should perform devotional service as early as possible. Yeah, as early as possible. Yeah. Therefore, one should constantly chanting incessantly, chant the Mahamantra. This is also essential. And then text number 6. Yam yam wapi smaran bhavam tyajat yante kalevaram tam tam ivaiti kaunteya sadat bhava. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada explained, of course, one's thought during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thought at the time, at the moment of death. This is the one that I was talking earlier, that whatever we perform the most in this life, it will be accumulated, and at the time of death, we'll remember that particular things. So this life creates one's next life. If in one's present life, one lives in the mode of goodness and always think of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. Again, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the best process for successfully changing one state of being at the end of one's life. Interesting chanting. So in the previous sloka, Srila Prabhupada writes also in his purport about the chanting. In this verse also, he writes about the chanting of the holy name. So whatever we remember at the time of death, that form of life we will obtain without fail. Yeah. Therefore, we understand that those who get the animal form of life, actually in their previous life, they behave exactly like that particular animal. And then if we behave now like an animal, so we should understand that we are preparing our life, in our next life, we become that particular animal. For example, now I love to surf in the ocean. So Krishna is seeing this, Daivanetrina, he's seeing our propensity. Oh, this person, this human being is acting just like a fish. He loves to be in the water. So in the next Daivanetrina, Krishna's, yeah, and that's and this is the advice that Krishna gives to Arjuna, that while performing one's activities, should always remember Krishna. Tasmat sarveshu kalishu. Therefore, tasmat sarveshu kalishu, in all time, mam anusmara yudhyacha. While fighting, remember me. Interesting here, Krishna told Arjuna, while you fight, carry on your duty, remember me. Mayar pita mano bhudir, use your mind, use intelligence, mam evaishya, sansaya. And that way you will come to me without doubt. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna at the time of death. At the same time, fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Yeah, asang saya. Krishna gave the guarantee here, asang saya. And here, Krishna says, Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. And Srila Prabhupada translates as, always think of me in the form of Krishna. You see, Srila Prabhupada is very, very specific here. Because why Srila Prabhupada translate as in the form of Krishna? Because it is Krishna who speaks to Arjuna. Yeah. Mam means I. Always think of me, Krishna says. Always think of me. If I say something, that means it's me, it's Vishnurata, right? When Krishna says, always think of me, that means we should think of him in the form of Krishna, Shyama Sundar Krishna, two-handed Krishna. Yeah. The reason Srila Prabhupada giving this particular translation is actually for us, for our benefit to attain the topmost destination. Yeah, Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna, Shyama Sundar Krishna, two-handed form, original form of the Lord. Yeah, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna lives only in Goloka Vrindavan. Yeah, in Goloka Vrindavan, not in Vaikuntha. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada is very particular here. Just he wants to make the point here very, very clear that we should meditate upon Krishna's form, yeah, two-handed form Krishna. But having said that, just I want to clarify this. Having said that, nothing wrong if we have our own mood to worship some particular form of Istadevata. Some devotees having the mood of worshipping Lord Narayan. Some devotees in the mood of worshipping Nrsimhadev, Kurma, like this, you know. So nothing wrong in meditating in any of those forms. Still, it is transcendental form. But if you want to get the topmost result of meditation, that's actually the Brajanandan Krishna, Shyam Sundar Krishna, Nanda Nandana Krishna, Jashodanandan Krishna is the Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. Yeah. But still, if we have our own mood, like Hanuman, he cannot change his Istadevata. Sri Ram is Hanuman's Istadevata, so nothing wrong with that. So still, he gets the fullest satisfaction within his heart worshipping that particular form of the Lord. Yeah. Text number 8. Oh, Srila Prabhupada's purport, sorry. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The Lord does not say that one should give up his prescribed duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. So meditation does not simply mean that we sit in one place, close our eyes, you know, and just meditate. That's one type of meditation, but how many of us can perform such kind of meditation? Kriteya dhyayato Vishnu. That's possible only in Satya Yuga. People can sit for thousands of years, just sit in one place. No eating, no sleeping, no drinking. Just meditate. Kriteya dhyayata. Dhyayata means remembering. Dhyayata. Dhyayato Vishnu, remembering Lord Vishnu. But in Kali Yuga, hardly people can sit for even 1 or 2 hours in straight, back straight like this, not moving, unshaken. Hardly people can do that. Maybe some people can do that, but very, very, very rare. Yeah, we are always restless. Chanchalanti Mana Krishna. Yeah, as Arjuna mentioned, it's always restless, the mind especially. The mind is so restless. Yeah. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, it doesn't mean that we have to give up our particular duty and just to meditate on Krishna. No, we must carry on our duties and at the same time think about Krishna by constantly chant the holy name. Yeah, constantly chant the holy name. Yeah. One devotee was asking me, what does it mean, this verse? And Srila Prabhupada explained, does it mean that when Arjuna is shooting arrows while he's chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna? What does it mean? Is that exactly like that? Um, it's like this. It's like this. For example, in a temple, you get the service of doing the accounting of that particular temple. So now, while doing this accounting, this is the explanation of Jananivas Prabhu, this base Jananivas Prabhu. While doing the accounting, we are focusing on numbers. How much income, how much the expenses, and from where is the income. I have to prepare now the receipt. I have to prepare the report and the expenses, what we purchased this month. So our mind just focusing on numbers. How much, how much, how much. But while performing that service, we may not be able to remember Krishna. But, Janivas Prabhu said, but because that activities is actually connected to Krishna's service. So in that way, performing that activities for Krishna and thinking about Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is non-different because we stay connected to Krishna. So similarly, Arjuna, now he's fighting, he's shooting arrow, the enemy is in the front. He may not be singing, chanting the holy name of the Lord. Yet he, actually Arjuna, carrying out the order given by the Supreme Lord himself. So he's doing his duty because of Krishna's order. So that activity and sitting on and meditating on Krishna, they are on the same platform because both are connected to Krishna. Okay. So that's the explanation. Text number 8. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the past, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. Prabhupada's purport. One's memory of Krishna is revived by chanting the mantra, the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna. By this process, by this practice of chanting and hearing the sound vibration of the Supreme Lord, one's ear, tongue, and mind are engaged. You see, again, Srila Prabhupada mentioned about chanting. The devotee can constantly think of the object of worship, the Supreme Lord, in any of his features, Narayan, Krishna, Rama, etc., by chanting Hare Krishna. This practice will purify him, and at the end of his life, due to his constant chanting, he will be transferred to the kingdom of God. Yeah, that's very clear. Now, this is a question here. What is common in Srila Prabhupada's purport from text 5 to 8? Anybody would like to respond on that? What we find common in Srila Prabhupada's purport from text 5 to 8? Anybody? So we find from text 5 to 8, The common thing in Srila Prabhupada's purport is that Srila Prabhupada constantly mentioned about the chanting of the holy name. Yeah. By chanting, through chanting the holy name, constantly, incessantly chanting the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one will be able to connect his mind to Krishna. That's the essence of Srila Prabhupada's purport from 5 to 8, yeah, from text 5 to 8. So in the previous chapter, chapter 7, we find Srila Prabhupada's purport, one common thing, and that is devotee association. Again and again, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning by associating oneself with pure devotees, association with pure devotees, taking shelter of spiritual master, taking shelter of pure devotees. And in this chapter, particularly from text 5 to 8, because this section, this part of our discussion, especially from text 5, Anta Kali Chamam Eva verse, till text number 8, is actually the key verses of this chapter by which we can attain the supreme, yeah, by which we can perfect our life. And that's by remembering Krishna. And how to remember Krishna? Constantly chanting the holy names. Yeah. So the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the common thing in Srila Prabhupada's purport. Okay. Text number 9. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. You see, very important here, his statement, who is always a person. So God is a person. God is a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. God is a person. Very essential, this statement. Who is a person? Krishna mentioned, who is a person? God is a person. Just like in the Isopanishad, yeah. So there is a mantra mentioning that please remove your layer, the layer of this Brahma Jyoti, because this layer is actually blocking our eyes to see God. Yeah, kindly remove this layer so I can see your personal face, personal form. So the conclusion of the Mayavadi is actually depicted by this verse. Yeah. God is a person. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The process of thinking of the Supreme is mentioned in this verse. The foremost point is that he is not impersonal or void. One cannot meditate on something impersonal or void. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, one cannot meditate on something impersonal or void. Yeah. Never was in our life that we can stop thinking of something. No, we cannot. This mind will always capture some picture. Yeah. Even while sleeping, we keep thinking of something. What is the proof? The dreaming. When we are dreaming, that's the proof. Actually, the mind is remain active, although the body is inactive. Yeah, we always think of something. The mind will accumulate something. The mind will capture some form, some picture. Yeah. When we meditate on something void, it's actually impossible to meditate on in something void. What is void? A room? You will see a wall in the room here. Wall. What is void? The sky. You will capture the picture of cloud, of blue cloud. Yeah. When you meditate on light, that light also has some color. It's not void. So to meditate on something void is actually Absolutely wrong statement. It's a false statement. Nobody can meditate on something void. Nobody. Even even the Mayavadi, in order to well, their philosophy, in order to attain the perfection, uh, to attain the Brahma Jyoti, to attain the Nirvana, yeah, the Brahma Jyoti, they are using some form, such as Vishnu, Ganesh, Durga, who else? Mahadev, I think. There are 5 forms actually. I
Surya, sun god.
Sun God, yeah, Sun God.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So one is Sun God, Vishnu, Mahesh, Durga, and Ganesh. Yeah. So these 5 forms. Yeah. Their reason is that because now we have form, it is impossible to meditate on void directly. So we are using this via media of this form, by which at the end of our life we will merge into the impersonal Brahman. And that's actually does not make sense at all, to me at least. Sorry to say that. Yeah. Even the Mayavadi cannot really meditate on voidness. When I went to Varanasi in 2014, so on the banks of Mother Ganga, yeah, there are so many Mayavadis, but they are also chanting some holy name, some holy name they chant. Some of them I think chant the Hare Krishna Maha I think some of them, and they greet themselves as Namo Narayana. It means I'm Narayan, you are Narayan. So I offer my obeisances to you, who is Narayan. So to become impersonal is actually a very tough thing. You can't really meditate on voidness, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here. Impossible. Therefore, intelligent persons avoid useless argument and speculation, should accept what is stated in scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and follow the principles they set down. This will lead one to understanding. Prabhupada mentioned these 2 great books, Grantharaj, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavat. Yeah. The Srimad Bhagavatam established the Lord's form. Yashyananam Makarakundala Charukarna Brajat Kapola Subhagam Savilasa. So Krishna is not simply having form, but Kundala Charukarna, he has earring. So earring is worn in the ear. So when someone has an ear, that means he has a form, right? That statement is very clear. Yashyananam Makarakundala Charukarna. So Krishna has ear. Not only ear, but he has ornaments, earring. Brajat Kapola Subhagam Savilas. So seeing Krishna's form is so auspicious. Yeah. The Bhagavatam is very clear. Right there in the beginning, actually. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadesha Yatonvayat Itaratas Charteshu Abhigyashwarat. Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas, offering a basis directly to Lord Vasudeva. Janmadi Ashayataha, who is actually the source of everything. Everything comes from Krishna. Janma means birth. That means everything appears from Krishna, everything manifests from Krishna. All right. So this session, 2 parts of our discussion is covered. First part, Arjuna is asking questions to Krishna, and Krishna replied in text number 3 and 4. And then, actually, in text number 4, Krishna establishes himself to be the Adijagya, the ultimate benefactor of all sacrifices. He's the supreme person. And then from 5 to 9, Krishna is explaining the art of leaving the body. Yeah, the art. This is also an art. Yeah, Krishna consciousness is about art actually of converting matter into spirit. Yeah, this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. This is the art. We are converting everything into spirit, spiritual. Apple is material, but we offer it to Krishna and it becomes prasadam, completely transcendental. Yeah, your money is material, but when it is utilized in Krishna service, that becomes transcendental. Lakshmi should be utilized actually for Krishna. Your car is made of matter, but if you use your car in serving Krishna, Irmanda Krishna Sambandhe, then it becomes transcendental. Vimana, transcendental Vimana. So this body also like that. Body made of Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Amano Bhudir Evach Ahankar. So this body made of the five gross element, earth, water, fire, air, ether. It's material, but when we utilize in Krishna service, it becomes spiritualized, it becomes Krishnaized. Yeah, Prabhupada used this word, Krishnaized, transcendentalized, spiritualized. Yeah. So this body becomes spiritual, although it's made of matter. But when it is connected to Krishna, there's no doubt that it becomes transcendental. So the last part of our discussion is that about the Yoga Mishra Bhakti. Before entering to that, this is the statement of Srila Prabhupada in his lecture from text number 5. So this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is so nice that as soon as you chant Hare Krishna, you immediately remember Krishna. You go on chanting, that means remembering. So in chanting, if there is death, so I'm remembering Krishna. What is my fear? I'm going to Krishna, back home, back to Godhead. It is so nice. Yeah, it is so nice. One of our devotee, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, who are here. Ananda Moy is not here. So, yeah. So, this devotee, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, his name is Divanath Prabhu, is actually the in charge of our Harinam Sankirtan department here in Mayapur, where I'm serving also there. So he told me quite a few times, not only once, twice, but quite a few times. He told me that when we do Harinam, because he's old, he's now 70, but he's very enthusiastic devotee, energetic. He said to me quite a few times that when we do Harinam, somehow or other, because I'm old, if I get heart attack, just let me lay on the ground and continue the Harinam. Don't stop. Don't take me to hospital. Don't cry. Make the kirtan louder. He told me like that. Yeah. Don't stop the Harinam. If I get heart attack and just fall on the ground, don't care of me. Don't stop the Harinam. Don't take me to the hospital. Leave me there. Leave me there. That is his request. And he said that in a very serious manner. Yeah, he's not joking. He's not kidding. Told me like that. Don't stop the holy name. Just keep chanting, because he's old now. Anytime he can leave his body, he said. If I get heart attack, just leave me die among all these devotees chanting the holy name. What a desire. Yeah. As Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, what is my fear? There is no fear, because he's going back home, back to God. Therefore, in the occasion of the Tirobhava Titi of some spiritual masters or some acharyas, when devotee is leaving the body, well, the only reason we cry is that we will no longer get his wapu association, personal association. Of course, Vani is, remain eternal, but wapu may not be there, and wapu is also very important for us. So the only reason why we cry is because we cry for ourselves. We are no longer able to get this opportunity to associate with such a devotee. Yeah. We're not crying because, oh, he'll leave us, No. We cry for ourselves because he lived and we'll not be able to see him physically again. Apart from that, there's no lamentation because he's going back home, back to Godhead. He's going to Krishna's place. Why we have to lament? We just lament for ourselves. We are not taking enough opportunity, take advantage while he's present. That's the only lamentation. All right, we move to the next part of our discussion about Yoga Mishra Bhakti. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows. This is the practice of the yogis. Between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain the Supreme Personality of God. Srila Prabhupada's purport: one cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at death. One must have practiced some yoga system, especially the system of Bhakti Yoga. Since one's mind at death is very disturbed, one should practice transcendence through yoga during one's life. Yeah. It is not that by chance you can remember Krishna at the time of death, or you plan that at the time of death I will remember Krishna. No. Yeah, we should practice from now. Yeah, practice from now. But one devotee was asking a question: what if after a long practice, somehow or other we cannot remember at the time of death? How is it? So if we really sincere, practicing devotional service through our life, if somehow or other at the time of death we cannot remember Krishna, Krishna will remember us. Krishna will remember us and take us to his place. Yeah, because Krishna is purchased by our devotion, through our sincere devotion. Bhaktibhyo bhaktavatsala. Bikrineta swam atmanam. Bhaktibhyo bhaktavatsala. Bikri. Krishna sells himself to us. Bikrineta swam atmanam. He said that I'm purchased by you. Bhaktibhyo bhaktavatsala. Because Krishna is ready to reciprocate with his devotee. And Krishna doesn't want to be indebted. Doesn't want to be indebted. So if out of our sincere service, somehow or other, we cannot remember Krishna at the time of death, Krishna will remember us at the time of death and take us back home, back to Godhead. Especially here in the place called Harihara, etc. Yeah, in one of the island in Godrumadvip, in Harihara, etc. So whoever lives there, yeah, whoever live there, and when they pass away at the time of death, Lord Shiva will come personally and will shout in their ear the name of Gauranga. And whoever die in that place, Harihara, etc., will go back home, back to Godhead, despite of anything. Simply by taking birth, live there, and die there in that place. That's actually a great fortune. Yeah. That's a guarantee to go back home, back to God. Text number 11, persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, yeah, this word, Om, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Brahman by living with a spiritual master in complete celibacy. Yeah, so this is the general Vedic knowledge. Yeah, and most of the people who learn the Vedas having this conclusion that ultimately our goal is the impersonal Brahman. Yeah, because Veda is very okay. It's back. Yeah, still connected. Hare Krishna. Am I still connected?
Yes, Prabhuji, you are correct.
Yes, sir.
I'm fine. Electricity was gone and just came back. So where we were, impersonal Brahman. Yeah, most of the Vedic conclusion, especially if the Vedas commented by, so naturally. Yeah. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no organized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. In the same purport, Srila Prabhupada emphasized very important point here about celibacy, yeah, practicing brahmacharya, yeah, tapasa, brahmacharyena, samena cha, damena cha, tyagena satya sauchabhyam, yamena niyavena cha. So, tapasya, performing austerity, and brahmacharya, performing celibacy. So this is a very important aspect in our practice. Yeah, why we are following the four regulative principles? Because it's favorable. It's favorable if we follow. It's favorable for our devotional practice. Those who are engrossed in sex life, it's actually very, very difficult for them to advance in spiritual life. Yeah, very difficult to advance in spiritual life. Yeah. Therefore, the Grihastha institution is created. One of the ashrams is Grihastha, because Grihastha, in that ashram, one becomes regulated in terms of sexual intercourse. Yeah, one becomes regulated in sexual intercourse, and one is actually demanded to become Grihastha Brahmachari. Grihastha Brahmachari. So we also, as the grihastas, should follow the celibate principle. Yeah, celibacy principle. It is not that okay, now I'm grihasta, I'm married, I can have sex as much as I want. No, it is not like that. We are not animal. Yeah. We are regulated, and especially as devotees, we should regulate ourselves, especially in sexual intercourse. Although with our wife, we should be very, very regulated. That is the function of this chatur, varna, and ashram, just to regulate the human form of life. And celibacy is very, very essential. From the material perspective, that actually, when we keep our semen, so as Srila Prabhupada explained, that actually it will goes up to the brain tissues, and our brain will become very, very sharp. Yeah. I have some friends here from the West when I was studying Bhakti Sastri. So to memorize one sloka, my friend is so struggling so hard. The reason is that he told me, I think the reason is that because he wasted his semen so much before he became devotee, he wasted his semen so much. Now his brain becomes dull. Yeah, to memorize sloka is so hard. To memorize sloka becomes hard. So celibacy, apart from that, apart from nourishing the brain tissue, actually it keeps the energy also. Keeps the energy also. Okay. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunction for this age of Kali, that in this age, no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, by the way, this word Om is actually representing Krishna, but in his impersonal aspect. Yeah. But when one's realization is developed, he attain advancement, so he will realize the Paramatma and ultimately the Bhagavan feature. Text number 12, the yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind in the heart, the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. So Prabhupada's purport. To practice yoga, as suggested here, one first has to close the doors of all sense enjoyment. This practice is called pratyahara, or withdrawing senses from the sense object. So if we remember, we have studied the Ashtanga Yoga in the first 6 chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, especially chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita about the Ashtanga Yoga. There are 8 stages of the Ashtanga Yoga, started from Yama and then Yama and then Niyama, and then Asana, Pranayama, and then Pratyahara. Pratyahara means the stage of withdrawing the senses from sense enjoyment. And then Dharana, Dhyana, and then ultimately Samadhi. Yeah, so Pratyahara means we restrain our senses from not engaging it, but from enjoying it. Yeah, this is called the Pratyahara. In the 6th chapter, in the 6th chapter, this process is described in detail. But as mentioned before, this practice is not practical in this age. Yeah, Even Arjuna, 5,000 years ago, he rejected this age. Yeah, he rejected this kind of practice, yogic practice, and what to speak of people in the Kali Yuga. The best process is Krishna consciousness. If one is always able to fix his mind on Krishna in devotional service, it is very easy for him to remain in an undisturbed transcendental trance or in samadhi. Yeah, remember in the 6th chapter, Srila Prabhupada clearly explained that for the Ashtanga yogi to attain samadhi is really, really tough, because that's actually their goal, to attain samadhi. But for people in Krishna consciousness, even in the beginning stage, immediately they can actually attain this level of samadhi, because samadhi, the essence of samadhi is that concentrating our mind to Krishna, to the Supreme. Samadhi. The last verse of our today's session, text number 13. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters. Yeah. If one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. Yeah. This Om is actually not different from Krishna, not different from Krishna's name, and Krishna's names, they are non-different. So for us, for devotees, this word Om is clear. That's actually indicating Krishna. Yeah, but for the impersonalists, the word Om means the impersonal Brahman. Yeah, and for the yogi, the word Om refers to the Paramatma. But this word Om is actually not different from Krishna's name, uttering Krishna's name. So as devotees, if we utter Krishna's name, remember Krishna at the time of death, so certainly reach the spiritual planet. We will certainly reach the spiritual planet. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is clearly stated here that Om, Brahman, and Lord Krishna are non-different. You see, this word Om, Brahman, and Lord Krishna are non-different. Yeah, the three aspects of the absolute truth, of course. Vadanti tatatva vidastatam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabdyati. So in the Brahman feature, these two aspects, Paramatma and Brahman aspect, are covered. Yeah. The impersonal sound of Krishna is Om, but the sound Hare Krishna contains Om. The chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is clearly recommended for this age. So if one quits his body at the end of life chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, he certainly reaches one of the spiritual planets according to the mode of his practice. Yeah. You see, just like in the Bhagavad feature, the Paramatma aspect and the Brahman aspect, personal Brahman aspect, are contained. So similarly, the Om is the impersonal aspect of the God, of the sound vibration. So the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra contains the word Om. And Prabhupada mentioned here that we attain our destination in spiritual planet according to mode of our practice. Yeah, if we have the mood of worshiping Lord Narayan, the four-handed form, we'll go to Narayan Loka. If we have the mood of serving Lord Ram, we'll go to Ayodhya. So like that and so on. The devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan. For the personalists, there are also innumerable other planets known as Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky, whereas the impersonalists remain in the Brahma Jyoti. So this is actually the answer. Devotees of Krishna enter the Krishna planet Goloka Vrindavan. The answer of why Srila Prabhupada translated that Mam Anusmara, that word, yeah, that Krishna says, Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha, while fighting Yudha, Mam Anusmara, remember me in the form of Krishna. Because Srila Prabhupada indicating here in his purport that he wants us, devotees of Krishna, enter Krishna planet, the Krishna planet, Goloka Vrindavan. All right. As the closing of our session today, this is a lecture of Srila Prabhupada on this verse, text number 13. But those who are not but those who are not personalists, that means the impersonalists, they cannot enter into the spiritual planet. They remain outside, just like the sun sign and the sun disk. Sun sign is not different from the sun sign. The sun disk. The sun sign is not different from the sun disk, but still the sun sign is not the sun. Similarly, those who are transferred in the spiritual world, they remain in the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, which is called Brahma Jyoti, the Brahma Jyoti. So the impersonalists, they attain only Brahma Jyoti. Yeah, that's clear. It depends on the mode of our worship. Yeah. If we worship the impersonal aspect of the Lord, naturally, the Lord will grant us according to our desire to go to Brahma Jyoti. Yeah. As Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy here, just like the sun sign and the sun disk, they are non-different. Yeah. So when the sun, like today here in Mayapur, since 2 days ago, it was raining. We don't see sun. We don't see the sun sign. Our clothes remain wet. And then today, just for a few minutes in the late afternoon, I was inside the house, and then we can see actually the sunlight outside in the windows. And then my wife said, "Oh, finally we see the sun today." Actually, we're not exactly seeing the sun. We just see the sun sign. But she said, we finally see the sun today. Yes, because in one sense, the sunlight and the sun glow, the sun is non-different. But at the same time, it is different. Yeah. So Brahman and Bhagavan, in one sense, they are non-different, but it is different. The sun sign comes from the sun glow. So similarly, Brahman, the Brahma Jyoti comes from Lord Krishna's body, Bhagavan feature. All right. So just to conclude our session today, so we have discussed the first part about Arjuna's question. He was asking about what is Brahman, what is the self, Adhyatma, what is the Adibhuta, the nature, creation, what is Adidaiva, the demigods, what is the Adijagya, who is the Adijagya, how Paramatma resides in every living entity, so residing in their heart. So Krishna has replied all this. And what is karma? He's asking again about karma. What is karma? Yeah, fruit of activities. And then second part of our discussion is very essential about how to attain the Supreme, as the title of this chapter. Yeah, how to attain the Supreme is by remembering Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada constantly mentioning about the chanting of the holy name is the means by which we can attain, by which we can remember Krishna. And the last part of our discussion is that about how the yogi can attain the perfection by uttering the word Om, and if they're fortunate, can remember Krishna, then they can go to the spiritual world. All right, thank you very much. Were there any question or comment before we close our session today and meet you again, all of you, on Thursday? Any questions? Hare Krishna. All right, I take your silence as no question. I hope everything is clear. Thank you very much. Kindly read the remaining of this chapter from text number 14 onward. So in our next class, hopefully we can finish up chapter 8. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinubhyo titanam panibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Srila